Hi everyone, welcome to the second video in the series that we are doing on long-term transit that will impact you over the course of next couple of months. Starting from April 2020, we would have Venus in Gemini all the way till 7th of August. 4 months of Venus transiting the zodiac sign of Gemini, transiting a specific area of your life where it will help attract what you truly desire. More importantly, Venus will help you make certain choices, because where Venus is in Gemini, we usually get opportunities more than one in that area of our life. And that's where a choice needs to be made. And that's when Venus goes retrograde. Venus goes retrograde when we are at the helm of making an important decision in that area of your life, but we might be making that choice not based on our internal radar, but we might be making that choice driven by society, driven by external factors. Venus goes retrograde to remind us what we truly want in that area of our life, to help us make the right choices and attract the right kind of opportunities in that area of our life. More importantly, we would have North Node Rahu move into Gemini as well from 5th of May 2020. This is even a longer term transit. From 5th of May 2020 to January 2023, for 1.5 years, North Node will stay in the zodiac sign of Gemini. Wherever North Node or Rahu is, that sort of becomes our area of fated changes. We are given a certain set of opportunities that would normally take many years in making, and they come out of fated changes for us to cause radical shift in the area of your life where Gemini is currently present. We'll talk about each of the zodiac sign so you understand what area of your life we are talking about, and we'll talk about it before we go into the detail of the transit right at the start of the video now, so you can put more meat to the bones to understand which area of your life we are talking about. But that is the rationale of doing this video. We would have Venus for 4 months transiting that part of your life, and then we have North Node transiting that part of your life starting from 5th of May all the way till early 2023. That means that for the next 1.5 years, starting from 5th of May, we would be having eclipses in that area of your life. And eclipses bring about fated changes. They bring about an acceleration towards our life path in that area of our life. It will bring about certain karmic shifts that we did not see coming. So a couple of surprises will also come in that area of your life. And then on November 30th, we have the first eclipse, which is a lunar eclipse happening in that area of your life, and a culmination of sorts after you have made that choice will happen in that area of your life around November and December. Let's go over each of the zodiac sign to just quickly touch upon what area of your life I'm talking about, so you can understand the transit much better. After we understand the transit, in the second half of the video, I will go further deeper into each of the sign for you to understand what it means for your specific sign. But briefly, moving on to Libra. Libra, for you, Venus will be transiting your house of adventure, education, philosophy, religion, travel, international trade for the next 4 months. This is amazing because this is a placement in which we are given opportunities to shift the purpose of our life, to sort of strengthen who we came here to be. This is the higher purpose of life. This is about you expanding your life's purpose and enriching it by sort of going into expanded fields. Either you might be expanding what you do at work existingly, or you might attract certain projects that are very adventurous, that give you opportunity to do things that you have not done before. You might attract certain opportunities to write, publish, share your higher perspective. When Venus is in your house of a higher mind for 4 months, that's the time when it's easier for you to share your thought process with others, to be the leader that you want to be. the charming one, the one with the knowledge, the one who understands people's perspective, receives and gives information in an easy fashion. At the same time, it will help you connect with people who are different from you in an easier fashion. It will make it easier for you to trade information with people when it comes to your work, when it comes to your knowledge, when it comes to publishing, writing. Similarly, if there was some project that was left out in the past, which you really wanted to do, you thought that was your life purpose, it was a writing project, it was a publishing project, it was a project which put you on the map when it comes to you sharing your thought process, or you wanted to really take a sabbatical to expand your mind, to learn more, to go into a different specialty, you would do those kind of adventurous things where you sort of take a leap of faith when Venus is in our fourth house. Venus is in this house for 4 months. But what happens is that before you take that leap of faith, Venus goes retrograde between 13th of May to 25th of June to figure out what is my life's purpose. What would I love it to be? What would give me enough value for my time? Would the financial aspect of that leap of faith is enough for me to take it? And this is same for love. This is same for relationships. There might be a leap of faith you're taking in a relationship. You might be rethinking that at the time. And then when North Node will move into this area of your life for the next 1.5 years, you will get opportunity to make fated shifts in the very purpose of your life. This is when we sort of choose adventure over administration, where we sort of decide, I want to do something more with my life. That is generally the thought process that people have. I really need to do something more with my life. That gives me that zest, that gets me out of the bed, that makes me do the things I have really wanted to do forever. So those things will come back to you. Old love will come back to you. Old love of certain passions which are, which sort of give you that sense of life's purpose, which is in line with your philosophy. They might come back to you during this course, especially between 13th of May to 25th of June, and you will attract opportunities on that all the way till 7th of August. And I think this year, when on 30th of November we have a lunar eclipse there might be something that will get solidified in that direction around November, December. We'll talk about it more in the second half of the video, but that is the area of your life: writing, publishing, speaking, expanded mind, international interaction, religion, spirituality, sort of speaking your mind, speaking your higher mind, and not being afraid of saying your perspective. You have learned a lot sharing your perspective with the world. That is what we are focused on. Talent of inspiring others with your worldview, talent of inspiring others with your knowledge about a subject. Having briefly looked at what area of your life Venus will be visiting for the next 4 months and hence it will be helping you make the right choices over there, attracting what you want in that area of your life, helping you make the right choices which you'll have to possibly make, and also where you'll be on the threshold of a key shift because North Node will be moving here, and then we'll have eclipse on 30th of November in that area of your life, which will bring about fated changes. Now let's look at in depth of what is going to happen in the months to come in our view, in the viewpoint of this transit. Venus is moving into Gemini and will stay there till 7th of August. This is 4 whole months of Venus visiting a particular area of your life versus the normal 21 days. This happens only once in 8 years, and this happens because we need to make certain choices. Venus helps us decide things on the basis of what will bring us what we want. The focus of Venus is in making you happy, in making you feel much more in line with your worth. It wants you to work on opportunities, make the choices in love, in finances, in job, in all the things that we on a material basis operate in line with what would make you happy. Venus is about focusing on you. It is about focusing on what you want. Venus uses the power of attraction not because of what she has to offer. It's not about being the carer, being the nurturer, the barter system of let me barter my own self-worth for another's love. It's not about that. It's about going ahead and just being who you are and attracting things because of who you are. She does nothing to be loved. Uh, she's the whole essence of being the loved one. That is what Venus is. Venus is the goddess of love. She attracts things to herself. She does not says, I will become this, I will cook food for you, I would do this for you, I would invest in you, and then I would get what I deserve. It says, I deserve because I am. And then it gets the thing. So the quality of self-love, quality of self-value, which are embedded in the very essence of Venus, need to get embedded in us when we have 4 months of Venus transit. It teaches us self-love in that area of our life, because we might be making choices in that area of your life because of survival instinct versus the sense of deep pleasure that we need to feel in that area of our life. So values are maybe more decided on the basis of what your family wants, or what your society wants, or what your circle wants, or what is in line with what others are thinking, the beauty of your life, how you want to look outside, what is the way you dress, to what kind of money you earn, or what you earn out of your skill set, or what you ask for your skill set. They might be decided on the basis of somebody else's judgment and not the judgment within ourselves. And that is the shift that Venus wants to bring in us, because till we don't align with our own personal value and base our worth on external factors, we will not be able to attract the right kind of opportunities in that area of our life. Venus first fixes us before it fixes the kind of opportunities we are attracting in that area of your life, because it believes very much we are attracting what we think of ourselves. So it fixes the self-love in that area of our life before it starts fixing the opportunities coming your way. That is the aim of the retrograde. Retrograde shifts us to make the choices that are in line with who you are. What is the greatest beauty and value within ourselves becomes the deciding factor. You look at you sort of take a hard look at your relationships, at the money you're making, at in that area of your life. There is a preconceived notion that is dislodged. Whenever a retrograde happens, that's a growth phase. Retrograde is always a growth phase. We look at things from a perspective we have never looked at before. So we sort of get a different perspective of that part of our life. We get a different perspective of our own value when it comes to relationships, when it comes to finances, when it comes to the issue of feeling loved. Professionally, personally, are we valued or not? Are we doing the things that bring us the value we want? This is the goddess of love that demands to be paid, demands to be loved without doing anything further, but by the virtue of being who she is. So the first thing you will find, the first level is always a little bit of dissatisfaction. So between 15th of May, I keep saying 15th of May because that's where Venus went retrograde in 2012, in the same area of your life. But 13th of May, when Venus is going retrograde, 13th of May to 25th of June, at that time, the first sense will be dissatisfaction in that area of your life, because you're trying to make the right choice. So the first thing is friction. The first step is always dissatisfaction and friction in that area of your life. I'm not happy with it. I'm not paid what I want to be paid. I'm not happy in this relationship. There's a friction in the relationship. What is presented to me is different from what I want. And that friction will reach, in my view, its height on 2nd of June, when Venus and Mars are making a square with each other. 2nd of June could be a very, very volatile day when it comes to personal relationships, as well as diplomatic relationships, because Venus is not just affecting you and me, it affects the leaders. When Venus goes retrograde, because Venus represents relationships, diplomacy goes out of the window. There are global relationship issues that come to focus because they were not paid attention to earlier because we were distracted with other things. So there are things that are going below the surface right now which will be given more attention between 13th of May to 25th of June when it comes to money, when it comes to finances, when it comes to give and take in relationship, when it comes to what you're paid, when it comes to global diplomacy, when it comes to how do we express our demands in relationships, personal and professional. Communication will come into big focus in partnerships, relationships and jobs. Fair open communication will come into focus in personal and professional relationships because Venus is going retrograde in the sign of communication, Gemini. And Venus in Gemini is very chatty. It is about loving the exchange of ideas, loving the ease, the comfort. It is playful, it is light, it is and sort of we feel comfortable in that kind of environment right now, considering what's happening at the macro environment level. Venus adds a little bit lightness to our heart. Venus in Gemini is light at heart. It's about exchanging ideas in ease and comfort and making each other feel positive because of exchanging positive messages with each other, no matter what's happening at the macro level, at the larger environment, with the outer planets doing their dance, which they are doing right now. Venus being over here helps us exchange ideas and creativity, which makes us feel better. So you will find enormous amount of creativity at display, which will help help people feel better about their value. It will make people feel loved, even connecting over social media, people forwarding things to each other, memes being created, creative videos being creative just to make each other feel happy at this time. Venus is joy. What brings us joy? And communication brings us joy when Venus is in Gemini, writing, communicating with each other in whichever format we can, finding out innovative ways to connect with each other. As somebody said, this is not social distancing, this is physical distancing. Socially, you'll feel that people are connecting more with each other than ever before. You'll be sort of chatting with people you have not chatted with before. There'll be a lot of talk. The downside of Venus and Gemini is a lot of information. People love to gossip. People love to get a lot of tidbits. People love to spread information which is not truthful because they are in a chatty mode. So there's positive talk and there is negative talk. There's not a whole lot of discretion over here, but we could use this in a very positive fashion. I mean, I kid, of course, but I mean, when the previous pandemics happened or we had the World War, people were writing deep poetry, they were writing sonnets, and we would be writing memes and we would be creating creative videos to make each other laugh. And Venus and Gemini wants us to laugh and have a levity in us because it will help us cope with the situation better. And Venus is here to help us cope with the situation better. It is there to make us feel healthy inside, mentally healthy. Venus in Gemini is about mental health. It's about positivity of mental health by loving art, doing creativity, writing, presenting it, and it's fine if it is light instead of deep at this moment. But what's happening between 15th of May to 25th of June when Venus goes retrograde? It goes deeper in. It says, let's see if my communication in my personal capacity, in my relationships, and in my professional capacity, am I able to convey what I think I am worth? Am I able to communicate what I want out of a situation? And that review will happen between 13th of May to 25th of June, and 2nd and 3rd of June it will reach its frictional height, in my view. And you'll see that in the diplomatic relationships as well. 2nd and 3rd of June, out of friction, a new seed is sown, which helps you make a reformatting, which helps you reformat that part of your life to create an opportunity which is more in line with what you love. So there could be opportunities in this area of your life that could be coming till 13th of May, but that opportunity may not be in line with what you want. And now on 2nd or 3rd of June, that opportunity needs to be reformatted because you have realized that you want something different out of it. So if you signed a contract or you sort of went for a job, or you sort of have some financial agreement, 2nd or 3rd of June might be when you realize I want something completely different out of it. And after 2nd or 3rd of June, when Sun meets Venus in inferior conjunction, Venus converts from being the evening star, this all accepting, accommodating star, to morning star moving forward. Venus is being reborn when this happens. When Venus is reborn, we will be going after like a shark for what we want. And that will happen in the second half of the cycle, which is after 2nd or 3rd of June. Venus will fully not become visible for a couple of days, but you will find yourself now asking for what you truly deserve in relationships and in your professional partnerships. And that shift will come through some amount of friction, some amount of you realizing that you are not being paid your worth or you're not being given your due when it comes to relationships, personal and professional. So be ready for 2nd and 3rd of June to be a little bit volatile in that sense. And when some opportunity turns in a different way or things sort of are looking different between 13th of May onwards, know that that is a process of shifting that opportunity in a more lucrative and positive direction for you. At the same time, I would suggest when Venus is retrograde between 13th of May to 25th of June, we do not make final decisions in those dates because that's the time when you're seeing things from a different perspective. You still don't have full information to decide things. So signing on an expensive investment, acquiring a big asset which is expensive in nature, making a big fixed investment into something, making a big choice when it comes to love, deciding something in love, finalizing somebody who you just met between 13th of May to 25th of June, and then you want to move forward on that. You want to wait on things when Venus is retrograde because you are being shown another side. You're re-evaluating your relationships. You're re-evaluating what you love. You're re-evaluating your source of income. You're re-evaluating what kind of job you want to go for. So you don't decide on things, in my view, between 13th of May to 25th of June, especially on financial matters, especially on matters of heart, especially in matters of love. Or if you have to decide, you do it with disclaimers. But what happens here is as well, it is a very good time for you to ask for what you want. So if you want to change the rates of your existing services, if you want to sort of review what you are being paid because you're not being paid your worth, it's a very good time to renegotiate for the existing things. And one thing that Venus retrograde is very, very popular for, which you got to be beware of, is return of the exes. I have written it in bold in my notes because past comes back without any excuses during Venus retrograde, especially exes, ex-husbands, ex-friends, people you loved before, but there were clear logical reasons because of which you thought it was not a very good idea to be with them because they were not giving you your true worth. You moved away from those relationships. They might come back in your life between 13th of May to 25th of June. When they come back in your life, know that Venus retrograde is a growth cycle. They're coming over there to tell you that you have outgrown them, or you are not the same person anymore, or that there's a vast difference between who you were and who you are right now. There's always a repeat of certain patterns from the last Venus retrograde. So they're echoes of the past. That's why it's a very, very good idea to look back at 2012, because you don't want to repeat those lessons and mistakes this time. Between 15th of May to 27th of June 2012, we had Venus go retrograde in the exact same area of your life, around the same degrees. So you're bound to have certain things of that time repeat themselves when it comes to the current situation. I know it's a little bit old because it's 8 years back, but if you're able to use your email, just enter the dates 15th of May, from 15th of May 2012 to 27th of June 2012. Just look at those dates. What was happening? What was not working well when it comes to relationship, when it comes to finances? Where were you not being paid your dues and you were fighting that at that time? Because you might be on the next level of growth in that area of your life, and at that time, for example, on a global basis, we had Eurozone narrowly avoid recession. Venus in Gemini is about commercial success, it's about finances. So we saw Eurozone almost narrowly avoid recession at that time. So there could be lessons from that time financially that can come into play right now. Facebook IPO had technical glitches at the time. We would see stock exchange go through issues further at this time when Venus will be retrograde, because Venus is money, Venus is financial matters. We'll find maybe financial downgrades, because last time Venus was retrograde here, we had enormous amount of bank downgrades. So we might see certain rating downgrades which might affect financial market, and I spoke about it in the introductory part of the video as well. We will expect to see certain bubble bursts this year because of the Jupiter Pluto cycle as well, and the heliocentric meeting of Jupiter and Pluto is happening on 31st of July. So this could be a precursor to a bubble burst when it comes to financial industry, and we might see certain back and forth. During the retrograde period, you will be walking back the degrees. We'll be walking right now from 9th of April to 13th of May. So if there are any financial decisions, any decisions you're making when it comes to relationships, when there are certain events related to the money you're paid, the creative talent you present, the relationship choices you're making, or the area I just mentioned where the focus will be for you, if you're making certain decisions in that part of your life between 9th of April to 13th of May, that will go under review. You'll be walking back that choice to see whether it is in line with what you want, whether it is in line with what you value, what your heart's desire between 13th of May to 25th of June. As I mentioned, 2nd and 3rd of June is when certain amount of volatility, of friction will make you change your mind, and a new seed is planted around 3rd of June saying, I want to shift things in this way, in this contract, I want to shift what I do, I want to shift. People will make U-turns. You'll see that on diplomacy level. You'll see people walking down or away from your financial commitments around 2nd or 3rd of June. You'll see people they might have agreed. For example, we have the OPEC Plus meeting between 9th of April. Around that time, we have it from Monday. You might see world leaders go back on their word because they don't think that is in line with what they specifically want to do between 13th of May to 25th of June. So apart from stock market, financial markets, review of diplomacy at a global level, we could also see other themes that are attached to Gemini, which are writing, journalism, machines that we use to transport things from one place to another, communication equipments, electronics. These are the things that can go through review at the time. Specifically, I think creative writing and journalism, whether we're putting in the right amount of authenticity into the information that we're putting out, that could go through a lot of review. Are we truly conveying the right things to people? Are there exaggeration? Is there truth that is out there? That could come into focus, and journalism could undergo big amount of shifts in general over the course of next 1.5 years, because we'll have North Node moving into Gemini as well, which affects writing, which affects our mind. It affects the mindset of people. It affects the modes that we use to connect with each other. Gemini is about connecting with people. It's about communicating. So that could undergo a bit of shift. Couple of things to keep in mind during Venus retrograde, which the should and shouldn'ts essentially. Between 13th of May to 25th of June, no large investments are suggested. It's a very good time to review your rates, renegotiate the existing contracts, renegotiate what you're paid, even renew your rates and publish new rates. But when it comes to large scale investments into luxury goods, into multiple investments, it is best to analyze opportunities versus committing to them during the retrograde. The other thing that will happen during the Venus retrograde, and these are just warning of what could happen, the outer display of love is scarce at the time. You can feel dry at the time in that area, because what's happening is that people are still figuring out what they want from each other. Material rewards also could be delayed, because you are being reviewed for whether it's worth to pay something for or not. It's a good time to not commit to a relationship. If you're starting a relationship during Venus retrograde, or there's a shift in the relationship during Venus retrograde, it's suggested to wait for Venus to go direct, which will happen after June. So in July would be a better time to sort of decide on relationships versus before. Renovation, remodeling, it's a very good time to to sort of remodel a place. It's not a good time for elective surgery. I do not suggest that between 13th of May to 27th of June. I don't think it will be possible as well, but it's definitely not suggested. It is not suggested to sort of launch something full scale, which requires a lot of investment on your end as well, because people will not have the same taste that they will have during Venus retrograde versus after. Fashion mistakes can be made, so it's not a very good time to change your look. We'll be just hopefully coming out of a full lockdown in mid-May to end of June, and if that happens, you will see yourself wanting to remodel your look or rechange, and at this time the dissatisfaction with physical looks could be there, but it is not suggested. It's a very good time to research the looks, not execute the looks. The other thing that I wanted to speak to you about very, very briefly is that North Node will move into Gemini from 5th of May. When North Node moves into a different sign, that's the time when the road to success shifts. The way to grow going forward and the opportunities that come our way, the way to monetize them, shifts a lot. North Node shows our fated path. It shows what is the path that can help us get to our life's destiny. So when North Node shifts sign, that's the time when the way to success, the way to be, shifts for us. It is a very major shift from a global events perspective as well, when North Node will shift sign. We'll find fated events happening because eclipses will be happening in Gemini going forward, and in a personal capacity you'll find yourself shifting the way you connect with others in an enormously different fashion moving forward, because wherever North Node is, accelerated changes, fated changes happen for us. So North Node moving in Gemini, the sign of communication, the sign of learning, the sign of teaching, the sign of writing, journalism, advertisement, interaction, social interaction, community involvement, short distance travel. You'll find a whole lot of shift in all of those areas. We are sort of entering a phase from May onwards when the decisions would be made, where global trotting would be much less, and we are already seeing that in process. We can see the writing on the wall. If you're still assuming that things are not going to change for long run, I think you have to look at things in a hard fashion. The Things will change in a very irreversible fashion moving forward when it comes to global travel. When we have South Node in the sign of travel, Sagittarius, from 5th of May all the way till 18th of January 2022, transportation becomes an issue. This last happened after 9/11. North Node was in Gemini from 14th of October 2001 to 14th of April 2003. The thing that changed, which we'll find as the common theme right now, is that people move away from global themes, from connecting with each other freely, borders being open to each other, free transportation of good, free connection with others, ideologically being open to each other. We move from that to focusing on local community. We learn to see world in simpler terms. When North Node is in Gemini, the road to success is to focus on the current moment. The focus of business, the focus of your projects, the focus of your local community will be on current moment. This is the time when the road to success will be to keep it light, to keep it simple, to keep it flexible, to keep, there'll be not a whole lot of, you will not, if you remember a couple of years back, 3 or 4 years back, what were we listening everywhere? 2020 plans. Let's talk about 2020 plan. Let's talk about what are we going to target in 2020. You'll stop listening to long-term plans. The focus is on today. The focus is on now. The focus is on being in the present. The focus is on connecting now. What are the ways to go about personal freedom in the current moment? And how well can we use our personal freedom and connectivity in the current moment? Sagittarius as an archetype has exaggerated sense of freedom. It has strong beliefs. And to some extent, we'll have to walk away from our previous belief system because they will not work in the current scenario. We'll have to we'll have to take on an adaptive approach to future. Creative expression, sales, bloggers, social networkers, social influencers, they will become more popular moving forward. Clarity of thought would be required based on facts, not based on ideology. You'll find that there'll be a lot of dispute if we start connecting with each other on the basis of old belief system moving forward. And that will result to some extent in social unrest because people will want to hang on to old way of being, but there is no old way of being anymore. We have to move forward with the eye on how to make the future work, how to make financial abundance in the new era. And the road to financial abundance and to success in future will be through communication modes, through media, through social networking skills, through online teaching, online learning, connecting and working in the local community, buying local, being sort of interacting with local. I mean, to some extent, it's very important to look at people who have North Node in Gemini. We have Donald Trump. Donald Trump's North Node is in Gemini. I may not agree with him on everything else, but looking at what he does as a person, he talks what he wants to manifest. He talks what he thinks he wants. The words and thoughts, they become destiny when North Node is in Gemini. And the people who have North Node in Gemini know this very, very well, that words become reality. So living in the moment, like Donald Trump to some extent does, and not focusing on saying the negative words. That's why collectively I feel when North Node will move into Gemini from 5th of May, and it's true now as it will be true then, but definitely after 5th of May, I think we have to pay attention to what are we saying. If we are going on talking about a thing we don't want to manifest in future, we have to stop talking about it. So you'll find that people would stop talking about to some extent what we don't want to manifest. It doesn't mean that we are not in the know, but collectively we have to start thinking of talking and speaking in positive words about where we are going. instead of manifesting fear, instead of manifesting the talk, to keep the cycle of repeat, because the words become reality. North Node is our destiny. Gemini is speaking, talking, communication. Positive communication manifests in positive reality. That is always true, but it has never been truer when North Node is in Gemini, and that is something we have to be focused on collectively. Innovative approaches, tech advances. There'll be a little bit confusion over details because there'll be excess information coming through, excess social media coming through. But that's where we have to filter out fears due to excessive information. So filter out the sources, filter out, and there'll be debates about conspiracy theory. All of that happened as the aftermath of 9/11. Unfortunately, at the time, there was a loss of faith. There was a loss of truth at the time, and we'll find people feeling the same right now. There's a loss of faith, there's a losing of big picture, and to some extent we have to focus on the current moment. We have to focus on connecting with each other through whatever means we can. Don't get lost in this whole whirlwind of excess information coming through. Filter your sources. Focus on the positive cycle of news. Focus on the positive words that come out of our mouth, because we will start manifesting them about ourselves faster than we have ever done before. Be accommodative to others' perspective. We will all have to be flexible on our outlook. At that time, if you remember 9/11, the ideologies became so extreme. The aftermath was even more difficult than, in my view, the event itself. The way things progressed after that, to some extent. And I have full respect for what a country needs to do to protect themselves, and every country will try to protect themselves even now. But being accommodative and open to the human perspective that sits on the other side, not getting lost in negative news cycle. There is a new way of life coming, new way of connecting to people. Be part of that change. That is the road to success. Looking at being part of the positive cycle will be very, very important for us, because we'll find a mass lack of faith in community at this time, and boundaries will get stronger. There is Rahu in Gemini. Gemini's information, Rahu or North Node, is manipulative. There'll be a lot of manipulation of information, exaggeration of information, which will distract us from the real things we should be focusing on. So this Venus in retrograde cycle and the Venus transit in Gemini will focus us. What can we in our individual capacity focus on to make use of the opportunities that are coming forward, instead of getting lost in the negative news cycle? It doesn't mean we are not going to take the precautions, we will not follow the rules. It just means that we will not be wanting to waste our time in saying things that we don't want to manifest going forward. Many world leaders, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Steven Spielberg, Elton John, they all have North Node in Gemini. They all know that creating reality out of their imagination is possible, and they have all done that. J.K. Rowling also has North Node in Gemini. These are people who know how to talk. They know how to communicate. They know how to start speaking of what they want to manifest. So start speaking of the next positive thing you want to manifest. Ted Bundy also had North Node in Gemini. You can use it in a very negative fashion as well to manifest things that nobody wants at this stage. So that's what I have. Let's look into your sign and see, in my view, where this can bring opportunities for you, where you'll be reviewing, where we will have fated changes. I'll go now in deep into your sign now.